It all began with Patrick Cullen, my brother, who found the sandy fjord.
She had lain derelict and alone on Durban Bay, a desperately sad shadow of the vessel launched in Norway more than 50 years before, then a proud and gleaming addition to Norway's lifeboat service. She had saved many lives, crossed the Atlantic 3 times, and sailed the Southern Ocean in the roaring 40s. She had almost reached the point of no return when she was taken in hand and stripped of all doubtful planks and timbers. But she was still basically sound, with a heart of the finest blue Baltic oak. A full year's hard work making her shipshape, her great frame was tightened and strengthened against the terrible stresses she would encounter. The sea gives no quarter, and every fastening must be right. Two months later.
You big up weight on that set, can you just bring that outside rope to this bollock? Now you see where your wire is now.
God bless the ship and all who sail in her.
3 months later, on the 21st of February 1965, Sandefjord was ready for sailing. She was away, and as she moved easily into the first swells, she came alive. What lay ahead? How many thousands of miles of water would wash her hull before she came back? How would she, in her great age, take the pounding of gale-lashed sea? She was eager to try herself and her crew. South African coastal weather is treacherous, and within hours of sailing, a large bank of cloud ahead gave warning of a change. The barometer fell rapidly, the temperature dropped, and soon a cold front marching swiftly up from the Antarctic spread across the horizon. Ship and crew were put through their paces. Let's have a look at the crew. The irrepressible Wally Strite, a 26-year-old American with a ready wit and a smile for every occasion. After serving 4 years in the United States Navy, he had traveled extensively throughout Europe and had just walked down Africa before joining Sandefjord. 21-year-old Farney Lowe from landlocked Boksburg in the Transvaal had jumped at this opportunity without hesitation. In common with his shipmates, he would willingly give up career and home comforts for the chance of living a dream. Barry Cullen, 28 years old, a former ship's officer with 10 years sea service, was the natural choice for skipper. Quiet and competent, He filled this role admirably. Mary Clayton, a New Zealand schoolteacher, a fine asset and a credit to the ship. Patrick Cullen, 24, part owner with his brother Barry. It was he who first discovered Sandefjord and, deeply inspired, sensing the strong, true heart she still possessed, had initiated the action which led through the refit to this day. The only married crew member, he left behind a wonderful girl who stood by him absolutely, sharing in spirit this important venture. And Tim McGuinness, 32-year-old Irishman, journalist, philosopher, and dreamer. He was enthralled with the sea and saw deep meaning in its every mood. This voyage was the realization of a long-held ambition. The Cape Albatross. Taking advantage of the current, Sandefjord had kept well out. Then, on the 10th day, coming in from the south, the mountains of the Cape were sighted. She rounded the Cape of Good Hope and reached comfortably up the peninsula towards Cape Town. It was to be a brief call for loading the bulk of stores for the long voyage ahead. "5,000 cans of food were varnished against rust. She was provisioned for 400 days with such items as 20 cases of corned beef, 15 cases of milk, 600 pounds of potatoes, 500 pounds of onions, 500 pounds of sugar, and 200 pounds of tea. Canned foods would provide for most of the diet, but fresh potatoes and onions will keep for months. There were other essential items. While Durban was the starting point, it was not until sailing from Cape Town that the crew felt the voyage had really begun. And for Sandefjord, it was the beginning of her first major ocean crossing in 30 years. Members of the Royal Cape Yacht Club provided a memorable escort as Sandefjord rushed out into the open sea.
Eight, 12, 16. 1,700 miles to St. Helena.
Leaving the boisterous Cape weather behind, Sandefjord picks up the southeast trade. a fine, fair breeze that blows steadily and consistently towards the equator. She was alive and free. This was her wind, and she was recklessly enjoying the first taste of it, logging a steady 130 to 140 miles a day, a consistent driving pace towards that rock in the ocean that was the island of St. Helena. Here lies Sandefjord's power. The southeast trades in these sails will provide the main driving force to carry her on her voyage around the world.
Crossing the Atlantic Ocean, Sandefjord will pass through the southeast trade wind belt. Then, crossing the equator, will come under the influence of the trade winds of the northern hemisphere, which blow from a northeasterly direction. The area where these two great airstreams meet and oppose each other produces a region of instability, where towering thunderclouds, occasional sudden violent squalls, and frequent calms are found, the dreaded doldrums, the ocean's greatest natural barrier to sailing ships. Sandefjord's aim will be to steer south of the doldrums until some 300 miles off the coast of South America, then alter course almost due north to cross the area at its narrowest part. She will be assisted by the south equatorial current and the north equatorial current flowing steadily westward and giving her an extra half to 1 knot on her speed.
Morning, Tim.
Morning, Bob. How's it going, matey?
Not bad.
Timothy, cup of tea, please. Oh, thank you very much indeed. Nice. Oh, a fine Christian cup.
Fine morning, ain't she?
Absolutely lovely. You're going very well, too, during the night, apparently.
Good.
Have a good day.
Hey, Tim, give her a spin. Harder!
They're porpoises. These cheerful mammals are regular callers on practically every day of the voyage. A brief visit, then they would disappear as swiftly as they had arrived. As we entered the tropics, life settled down to a pleasant shipboard routine. People often ask us if we were ever bored during these long sea passages. Definitely no. There was always something going on. In the galley, we kept a permanent kettle of boiling water for tea or coffee. And all the time, Sandefjord sailed steadily on across the ocean. We lived in an immense,
private world of our own.
Okay, Pat. She's all mine.
Good. Pretty? Well, she's okay on that, of course. She's fine now. Wind's easing a little, but she's all right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Watches were set at 2 hours on and 10 hours off for each person.
Oh, me darling. Oh, me darling. Oh, me darling, Clementine.
Wally was tone deaf.
You were gone, but
People often
not
imagine that
forgotten.
Mary did all the cooking. Well, we may have had the same idea before we sailed from Durban, but we soon realized that this was to be the toughest job. So we took it in turns, taking a full day once every 6 days.
Well, what's for dinner tonight, Walt?
Good old-fashioned home cook.
What'll that be?
Stew.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, fella.
They that go down to the sea in ships and occupy their business in great waters, these men see the works of the Lord and his wonders in the deep.
Though no one doubted Barry's navigational ability, he was thumped on the back many times by a delighted crew when, at dawn on the 21st day, St. Helena rose out of the sea, dead ahead. The only possible landing place on the entire island, Jamestown, nestling in a deep volcanic gorge. A castle and moat thrown across the valley provided an effective defense in the last century when the Emperor Napoleon was exiled to this natural island fortress. One can imagine the frustration of Napoleon as he roamed the hills and valleys of this remote island, completely isolated from the empire he had created. He would often visit a particularly beautiful glen and spoke of it as being the one spot on earth where he could find some semblance to peace of mind. Napoleon Bonaparte chose this as his last resting place. The very thrilling ride to be had here has timeless appeal. The gutter worn smooth as glass by generations of feet. 300 miles off the coast of South America. And as Sandefjord moves further northwards, the southeast trade falls lighter and lighter. The great bank of cloud lying on the horizon ahead marks a definite border of this wind system. Beyond, the doldrums. Sailing ships have been known to lie becalmed for weeks on end in this area. However, other than a few heavy rain squalls, of which the crew took full advantage, freak conditions allowed the northeast trades to penetrate far further south than normal, and Sandefjord sped on her way. The Atlantic was as good as crossed when the ship's radio picked up the first haunting strains of West Indian steel band music, and the lyrical island of Barbados hove into sight after 29 days at sea. Some of the finest cricketers in the world come from Barbados, and it was not surprising to find an island whose people were obsessed with the game. Names like Garfield Sobers and Wesley Hall are worshipped by the islanders, young and old. And for the crew, an exciting and memorable moment as they head ashore, savouring the colourful and romantic atmosphere of their first tropical island. The West Indies are one of the last places in the world where fine, big sailing schooners still ply regularly between the islands carrying local cargo.
I've been working in these schooners since it was a bush. One time we met a hurricane on the very to there, and she teared down all these sails. But I still love these schooners, because I raised in there. And I wouldn't have any other life for all the run in Barbados.
"80 miles northwest at the island of St. Lucia, Sandefjord berthed right alongside a luxurious marina, catering for visiting yachtsmen's every need, from hot showers, a laundromat, to breakfast served not 5 feet from her deck. Negotiating dangerous coral reefs and currents, she approached a tiny group of uninhabited keys. The light green water identifies the shallows, and great care must be taken in selecting an anchorage. 16 feet. 12 feet. It was truly one of the rewards of hard work and patience which had brought these people to such a unique place. A miniature paradise, alone, and splendid in its simplicity.
Oh, isn't it lovely? Oh, it's lovely here.
Meanwhile, Patrick and Tim take the dinghy and head out to Horseshoe Reef, a coral barrier which protects the group from the swells of the open sea.
Hey Walt, don't you think this is a fine spot to make a braai?
Yeah, actually you had a pretty good idea there. I think we should build a fire and give old Pat a birthday surprise.
What in the name of blazes is going on here? What?
Yes, Mr. Collins, and happy birthday to you!
Oh, are you coming to join us now? We have a wee bit of a celebration.
Gentlemen, I'm touched.
Yes. Would you care for a cup? Here. Tell me how it tastes now.
Cheers!
Cheers! Cheers!
Good luck to you, lad.
What?
Happy birthday.
I hope you'll see another one.
Wow.
Well, that's a nice thing to say now.
Sally, I'm getting to be an old man now. 25.
What are you now at 25?
You must advance in years, old guy.
How do you quit shut up?
Before a brisk trade, Sandefjord made good speed across the Caribbean, bound for Panama, and arrived at Cristobal, the Atlantic port of entry, on the 21st of August. This mighty waterway linking Atlantic and Pacific was built by the Americans after several futile but valiant attempts by the French and others. Sandefjord was accorded the same treatment as any other ship. She was assigned a pilot, Captain Galbraith, and became part of a complex and well-timed operation. "5 miles inland, she came to the first locks at Gatun. Captain Galbraith in constant touch with the control room. The American yacht Phasalia, bound from Boston to San Francisco, tied up alongside Sandefjord for the passage through the locks. The great valves of the lock are opened, and 26 million gallons of water rush in with vicious turbulence. Electric locomotives, or mules, guide the ship through. Leaving Sandefjord for a moment, let us return to the locks for a clear picture of this operation. Crossing the lake, Sandefjord will then pass through the narrow section of the canal before finally anchoring off Balboa. Gatun Lake is one of the largest artificial bodies of water in the world. Ships pass close to these islands, once the hilltops of the Panamanian jungle. The pilot was delighted with the change in his routine. His first sailing ship transit in 15 years' service with the Panama Canal Company. "4.5 hours after entering the lake, Sandefjord approached the famous Gaillard Cut, a monumental 8-mile excavation through solid rock of the Continental Divide. It was here that all the principal heartbreak occurred during the construction period. Landslides, floods, the terrible toll on human life through the ravages of yellow fever, malaria, and other tropical diseases.
The United States government has invested $1,600 million in the canal project, and the operation is self-sustaining without profit. Tolls vary, of course, according to tonnage, but the average ship pays about $5,000, while Sandefjord's toll will be a mere $24. By using the canal, a ship can save up to 20 days by cutting out some 7,000 miles of ocean voyaging. Figured in terms of cost, this can save a ship owner up to $50,000. The United States exercises complete sovereignty over the zone, which extends a distance of 5 miles either side of the canal, and is responsible for the entire operation, maintenance, and protection of the area.
Down through the Pedro Miguel and finally the Miraflores locks. The last gates open and the great Pacific Ocean lies before us.
Having stored and provisioned for the long Pacific haul ahead, Sandefjord sailed from Panama on the 7th of November. While in Panama, Mary met an old friend of hers from New Zealand, Jack Hargreaves, professional skipper aboard the luxurious American millionaire-owned schooner Dante Dio, bound for the Far East. The two ships sailed in company for the remote and mysterious Galapagos Islands. Baffling light airs and frequent calms make this an extremely difficult passage for sailing ships.
It's about that time again.
Damn wind. Okay, we better get it down now, fellas.
You ready, Pat? Now walk forward.
Jenny's going to look after it now, Barry.
Yes, I think it's a good idea.
Everything's flying all over.
You just look after your engine.
Yeah, I'm busy enough. Everything's flying all over the place.
That was definitely a shark.
Yeah, but remember a few days ago we saw this one. But we thought it was a shark. I don't know if it could...
The one I see now is moving much faster through the water than this guy. This guy doesn't look like he can move hardly at all.
And that's what it says here. Its movements are limited.
There, he's going off. He's not having any of your nonsense.
Look at that big sunfish over there. Eh?
Long, hot, motionless days with not a breath of air to stir the water. Sleeping in airless bunks became unbearable, and Patrick set about rectifying the matter. Moving slowly southward, Sandefjord now entered an extensive rain area with a heavily overcast sky developing, the true doldrums. Somber rain clouds would roll up from the north, stop, then disgorge themselves in long torrential downpours. Down below, clothes and bedding remained permanently damp, and all hands longed for the fair weather trades to the south. A brief squall, and Sandefjord would spread her wings, covering 2, maybe 3 miles. Then the wind would die, and the sails were lowered again. Equally frustrated by this windless sea, 2 land birds, hundreds of miles off course, found welcome refuge aboard. At 10:30 on Friday the 19th of November, a light air came through. The sails were hoisted and stayed up. After these weary days at sea, the eerie presence of a mysterious and strangely different land was sensed by all on board as the ship approached Galapagos. Born of violent volcanic uprisings, they don't seem part of this world, but of an unfinished adolescent planet, its primitive skeleton still exposed. Kicker Rock, rising majestically out of the sea, provided an awe-inspiring introduction to the islands. After passing through the amazing split, Wally and Farney went to investigate the narrower chasm. 30 miles westward, Barrington Island. So far as the old bull seal is concerned, this beach is his. Strangers in his eyes are possible contenders for his beach and harem. His sole aim is to establish his authority. He challenges the strangers. All that is necessary is that they take one step in retreat. Hoping his harem are watching, he charges. In his view, the matter is now closed, his honor fully vindicated. Trudging inland, the crew stumble through rough, lava-strewn countryside and coarse undergrowth, unaware of wildlife. But life is aware of them. Eyes are watching their every move. There is something curiously vital about these islands, standing alone, completely isolated, far out in the Pacific. And the feeling that they had suddenly been transferred to a primeval land was strongly felt by all. Below them, Sandefjord lies in a perfect natural harbor. A moment's pause and reflection as they gaze down on the grand old lady who had safely brought them this far. While the rest of the crew proceed further inland, Mary, perhaps feeling the need for a little solitude, returns to the beach alone. Nabra Island, grim and stark, until recently a violently active volcano, its entire surface a mantle of black lava, without a single blade of vegetation. And yet, along its shoreline, it harbors the strangest collection of wildlife to be found anywhere in the world. Pelicans, flightless cormorants, blue-footed boobies, penguins, fresh, brittle lava fields extend right down to the water's edge, and walking across them is painfully slow. Canophilus subscristites, the Galapagos marine iguana. growing to 4 foot in length, are only found in the Galapagos Islands. They live off seaweed and algae, are harmless and totally unafraid of man, whom they and their fellow inhabitants have scarcely ever encountered. Pelican's ancestry goes back to prehistoric times, and it seemed almost as if this one had been awoken from an ageless sleep. As if to make up for the lack of color elsewhere, nature has brilliantly endowed the crabs. Creatures stranger than the islands themselves, both on land and sea. The extremely rare emperor angelfish and the giant manta ray. Leaving this eerie cradle of a new species, Sandefjord now sailed to Isla Isabella, the largest island in the Galapagos group, but arid and completely uninhabited. Within these rock walls, nature has cast 2 amazing volcanic craters. The one in the distance contains very high-density salt water. The lower has a narrow opening to the sea and forms a perfect natural harbor, Kalita Tagus. In this remote, extraordinary spot, 2 events took place which were to significantly change the future course of Sandefjord's voyage. Firstly, they rendezvoused with the Dante Dio, last seen off Panama. Mary was thrilled to see Jack again, and he invited her to join the schooner for the passage to Tahiti. It was sensed that she was experiencing an extremely difficult conflict of emotions, her loyalty to Sandefjord and her desire to join the Dante Dio. Then, to the absolute amazement of all concerned, a 3rd sailing ship entered Kalita Tagus, commanded by Captain Gordon Keeble, RN retired. The 3-masted topsail schooner New Endeavour, out from London, bound for Australia with a crew of 21 young Britishers and Australians. Circling the Sandefjord, Captain Keeble bellowed,
"I suggest a race to Tahiti."
The challenge was readily accepted, and it was while Dante Dio was towing Sandefjord clear of the land that Mary, in 2 minds up to the last moment, finally accepted the invitation. And thus it was that Sandefjord temporarily lost her fine girl sailor, the finest that any ship could wish to have. The friendship with Jack had become something more than just a light-hearted affair. New Endeavour, under all plain sail, slips gracefully by, while Dante Dio forges swiftly ahead, taking Mary with her. The sight of 3 sailing ships standing out to sea from this lonely outpost was a unique and stirring one. Ahead lie the coral reefs, the palm trees, the lagoons and mountains of the South Sea Islands. Their dream was coming true. Sandefjord was now finally pointing her bow to those fabled islands standing across the mightiest ocean, the broad, boundless Pacific. Days passed peacefully as the crew fell into the easy routine of a long, comfortable trade wind passage. It was 3,000 miles to Tahiti, but time passes quickly at sea. There's always something to do, something to think about, or to learn. Dead ahead, a whale is sighted. "15 days out, at dawn on New Year's Day 1966, the magnificent sight of a square rigger under full sail greeted the crew. By extraordinary coincidence and sheer chance, the courses of New Endeavour and Sandefjord had crossed in the middle of the vast Pacific Ocean. On board New Endeavour, Captain Keeble was as thrilled as everyone else and suggested that the ships exchange some crew members for the day. Maneuvering under her stern, a line was passed down to Sandefjord. Patrick went first, followed by Farney. While chatting with the crew, Patrick happened to mention that coffee was running a little short. The opportunity was seized upon by Captain Gordon Keeble to carry out naval maneuvers, and a bag of provisions was transferred. After spending the day sailing in company, the crews returned, and the two ships went their respective ways. Early migrating Polynesians sang this song as they paddled their great canoes in search of new land. Those who found Tahiti found paradise. Later, Captain Cook discovered Tahiti for the rest of the world, an island inhabited by the most generous, fun-loving people he had ever encountered. Today, while Tahiti has undergone great changes, the essential happy Polynesian spirit remains. And in Papeete, the bustling port town and capital of French Polynesia, this produces a rare mixture of gay vitality. Papeete has become the meeting place for tall yachts and schooners from all over the Pacific. Sandefjord joined this select company of yachts, and her crew eagerly awaited their first letters since leaving Panama.
Come on now, I've only got half. Well, there you have it, lad. Bloody McGuinness again. And another McGuinness. Low. McGuinness, McGee.
Mate, you've got it, mate.
Similar funny with the glasses on. They look very nice.
There's
a little gold chain.
Dante Dio, after calling in the Marquesas and thereby retiring from the race, arrived shortly after Sandefjord. It was good to see Mary again. It was soon learnt that she had decided to stay with Jack, and a great farewell party was planned.
Nice to see you.
Oh, letter too. Hey, how about that?
Hello, Jack.
Hi, mate. Hi, Mary. Good to see you, girlie.
Oh, Mr. McGee, how
How are
about
you?
that? This is not even my ukulele. I couldn't find mine.
Oh, well.
See how hard it's
It'll play anyway, Mary. It'll play.
It's a very good old ukulele.
Come on, Mary. Come on, sing for us, Mary.
Come on.
Mary?
Yes, please.
Sure.
There we go.
Stand up.
There we go.
Ah,
I'll tell you.
Oh, hoochie coochie Henry of Hawaii, he does the hoochie coochie in the sand. On the beach of Waikiki beneath a coconut tree, he does the hoochie coochie dance to beat the band in old Hawaii. Beneath the coconut tree, there lives a gay lad, his heart is free. He has no money, but he owns the world. He's got his grass clippers ready for the hula hula girl. Oh, hoochie coochie Henry of Hawaii, he does the hoochie coochie in the sand. On the beach of Waikiki beneath the coconut tree, he does the hoochie coochie dance to beat the band.
Hey, good job.
Hey, great, Mary.
It calls for a beer now, I think.
The magnificent Chilean trading ship Esmeralda, bound for Sydney, made a brief call and was treated to the traditional Tahitian welcome. There's a legend which says, if you've not arrived in Tahiti by sailing ship, then you've never really been there.
Hey, Walt, how's about a good old cold beer at Quinn's this evening, eh? It's the best idea you've had in a long time. How about 4? 4 fine?
That's fine.
Okay, let's ask O'Brien. Hey, Barney, you coming?
Sure, mate.
Quinn's Bar is famous over the entire South Pacific Ocean, reigning supreme as the noisy hub of Papiete's nightlife. The wearing of these freshly cut flower leis and hays is an old and revered Polynesian custom. "17 miles across the water, the mystical, enchanted island of Moorea. Patrick is aloft to find the narrow opening in the reef which leads into Papitoy Bay.
Does the entrance look clear now, Pat?
Yes, all clear, deep water.
Righto, Farney, let her come to port now. Port. Steady, Farney. Keep the sharp peak, just fine on the port bow.
Okay, Murray.
Here, the traditional Polynesian way of life continues as it always has done.
Down a little there, Walt. Slowly. All right, a little more. Let it go.
Slow ahead, sir.
Slow.
Drop out. Astern.
Turn.
Right, let go.
Hold it. Right, let go again. Easy. Whoa. Slack away. Right, hold it.
Little more, slack away.
Come on, McGinnis, put some muscle behind it. I haven't got any muscle to put behind. The only muscle you got's around your mouth.
I think we can get pretty well right into the shore.
Yeah.
Just keep checking her out, Wally. Keep the old chain tight.
It looks as if you can walk ashore there from the edge of that green stuff, which is only about a couple of feet away from the farm place.
I think we're aground. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. Here we go.
Allez!
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 Oh, it's lovely.
In true Polynesian custom, a gift was brought immediately Sandefjord had anchored, and the crew invited ashore for a party at the chief's home.
Allez! Allez!
You want to drink gasoline?
No, water.
You like water?
Yeah.
You know, I like gasoline, whiskey. You know, good for me. Good for my tummy. No, I not be sick.
Manuya. Manuya, you wait below.
Good luck.
Sailing from Muria, the chief honors the ship with the Tahitian name of Otaha, meaning seagull.
Te paid panay matu tonay o ota. Nori o tu te faromani. Faromai e o tu tiaura. No te pay. Tona terer anar tu tini roto. I pop etening.
A 100 miles out, Sandefjord paused at a small Pacific atoll.
For across the sea, when you're away, oh please remember me. When you return, you'll find me waiting here.
What about a coconut?
Sounds like a winner. Let's see if we can find one on the ground.
This is a nice young one.
Yeah, they're all nice and young when they come off the tree. You're wasting good water there.
Yeah.
Well, chaps, this looks like the end of the South Sea Islands for us.
Yeah, it's going to be a long haul to Sydney.
How far is it, Pat?
3,500 miles.
Bound for Sydney, Australia, on what proved to be the toughest passage yet, Sandefjord met persistent westerly winds in place of the expected southeast trades, which meant beating against the seas for days on end. Exhilarating sailing, but not the most pleasant way to cross an ocean. This was the story for the voyage to Sydney, either gales, calms, or wind from the wrong direction. Passing close to French atomic testing grounds, an aircraft carrier on maneuvers was sighted ahead. The French may have been a little concerned at Sandefjord's presence, and they sent a helicopter over to investigate. After 30 days at sea, food was running low, and extra efforts were made catching fish to supplement the diet.
And after 30 days at sea, stores were running low, and extra efforts were made baking bread. Hard as a rock outside, raw inside.
40 days out, Sandefjord was still some 800 miles off the coast of Australia, having experienced very light winds. Fortunately, from this point on, a moderate breeze developed, and she made good time into the coast. As daylight broke on the 45th day, Australia appeared ahead. Tim, called on deck, couldn't believe his eyes. Moving down the coast, a Sydney radio station spoke of a bleak weekend ahead, with gales and heavy seas forecast. Soon after, the wind freshened from the northeast with an expected change to the southwest later. And as a cold front swept across New South Wales, it became a race to reach Sydney before the storm. Patrick Cullen tells the story of the night that followed.
It was a terrible night. The wind struck with incredible force just after dark, building up some of the biggest seas I think any of us have ever seen. We shortened sail and tried running under jib and mizzen only, but even this was too much. She was going too fast for the helm to answer. Then it happened. An overtaking sea slewed her round. The wind slammed the sails across in a jibe, and with a tortured crack, the mizzenmast broke at deck level. The others were on deck in a flash, and for nearly 3 hours we battled to secure the mast. How no one was not knocked overboard, I will never know. By morning the wind had eased, and all hands turned to, squaring up the shambles below and lashing the mast on deck.
The jib topsail was set in place at the torn working jib, and Sandefjord clawed her way slowly to windward. The storm had blown her 50 miles back, and the old ship's seams were badly strained, letting in some 3 tons of water. A bird, blown off the land during the storm, takes shelter on Sandefjord's deck. At this stage, all that remained of the stores were 20 cans of baked beans. Finally, on the 2nd of June 1966, Sandefjord passed Cape Hawke Lighthouse, worked her way down the coast of New South Wales during the night, and was off Sydney Heads at dawn of the 50th day. The longest passage was over. On a bitterly cold morning, the gates of heaven literally opened for the weary crew and battered ship as the great city of Sydney came into view round South Head. The celebrated 12-meter yacht Vim, a veteran of the America's Cup Series, was out early, training crew for the next Australian challenge.
This is the national news from the ABC, read by Peter Dawes-Smith.
A few moments later, after the headlines.
Yacht, which has sailed almost around the world, limped into Sydney today with a broken mizzenmast and a very hungry crew. The ketch Sandefjord weathered 4 Pacific gales in 50 days en route to Sydney from Bora Bora, an island near Tahiti, and food had to be rationed. The mizzenmast was broken 4 days out from Sydney. The Sandefjord is being sailed around the world by a crew of South Africans, an American and an Irishman. Their arrival in Sydney was about 17 days behind schedule, and rations had to be cut to last the distance. There was, however, a good meal awaiting the crew at the Cruising Yacht Club, and one sailor, Mr. Tim McGuinness, took time off to visit a Sydney girl he hadn't seen since leaving South Africa last year. The Sandefjord will spend 4 weeks in Sydney before heading for Durban via the Great Barrier Reef and Mauritius.
Much in need of a thorough refit, the ketch is hauled out at a boatyard in Rushcutters Bay. The broken mizzen mast was sent ashore and a new section spliced in. The bottom was scraped of barnacles, leaking seams recaulked, and the entire ship repainted. There were many willing hands, dreaming of one day sailing their own boats around the world. It was fitting that Sandefjord should look her best as she was expecting a new girl crew member, Jenny de Vet, a friend of Farney's whom he'd met in Cape Town.
How would you like to hear an Irish song, eh?
No, I wouldn't.
Come on. As I went out one morning to take the pleasant air, laddie-doo-dum-doo-dum, laddie-doo-dum-day. As I went out one morning to take the pleasant air, I overheard a mother scolding her daughter fair, laddie-doo-dum-doo-dum, laddie-doo-dum-day. Get in and wash them dishes and shut your prattling tongue, laddie-doo-dum-doo-dum, laddie-doo-dum-day. Get in and wash them dishes and shut your prattling tongue. You know you want to get married and that you are too young, laddie-doo-dum-doo-dum, laddie-doo-dum-day. The next verse of Botany Man. Who's got the next verse? Sing it for a liar, sing it for a liar, sing it for a liar, out such a swell. Singing Tooral-I-Ooral-I-Dee, singing Tooral-I-Ooral-I-Dee, singing Tooral-I-Ooral-I-Dee, we're bound for Botany Bay. Oh, had I the wings of a turtle dove, I'd soar on my pinions so high, straight back to the arms of my Polly dove, and in her sweet presence I'd die. Singing Tooral-I-Ooral-I-Dee, singing Tooral-I-Ooral-I-Dee, singing Tooral-I-Ooral-I-Dee, we're bound for Botany Bay.
Back in Tahiti, when it was known that Mary was definitely not continuing the voyage, the skipper had written inviting Jenny de Wet to join the ketch for the final 3 months of the voyage from Sydney to Durban. Repairs to the mizzen mast were completed. Wally Strite took up his time-honoured position at the windlass and the mast was re-stepped. By old custom of the sea, a few coins were dropped in at the foot. After 5 weeks in this swinging city, Sandefjord sailed. Keeping close inshore to avoid the strong East Australian current, Sandefjord snored up the coast. Jenny adapted to life on board like a duck takes to water. She and Farney spent many hours on the wheel together. In fact, Farney stood double watches for most of the time thereafter. Passing Lady Elliot Island, Sandefjord entered the inner route of the Great Barrier Reef. From this point on, she would contend with strong currents, vicious tidal rips, and of course, lying just below the surface of the water, the coral reef itself. She would pass through numerous island groups, the potential danger heightened by a major breakdown in her trusty old engine. In the Whitsunday Passage, she anchored in beautiful Nara Inlet at Hook Island. Continuing northwards, Sandefjord passed through Drake Passage, the exit from the Barrier Reef. Here, a lonely Aboriginal mission station serves this remote region of Queensland's great outback. A curious excitement gripped the crew as they passed Cape York Peninsula, the northernmost tip of Australia, and leaving the Pacific behind, anchored in windy, dusty Thursday Island, chief settlement in the Torres Straits, center of the pearling industry. The proud Torres Strait Islanders dive to incredible depths for pearls, working from these fine sailing luggers. In this seafaring community, a marine engine is highly prized, and a sale for the old diesel was readily arranged. The lucky buyer, Warren Barsley. And here's the boat in which he plans to go crocodile hunting in New Guinea. Rushing out into the Arafura Sea, Sandefjord gathered momentum for the last lap, the Indian Ocean. There's an old saying amongst sailing ship men that when a ship's bows are pointed for home, the girls have got hold of the tow rope. Passing Christmas Island, Sandefjord made a purposeful passage across the Indian Ocean before a fresh trade wind. Calling briefly at Mauritius to top up on stores and water, she was escorted from the harbour by well-known South African yachtsman Henry Fink. The great pride in their ship was given expression in a spontaneous desire by the crew to have Sandefjord looking her absolute best. "60 miles from the coast of Natal, in the gathering dusk of the last night at sea, Tim McGuinness brought out a highly prized possession, his last bottle of the best Barbados rum.
A toast, Tim. A toast. Indeed, a toast. A good and gallant ship, Sandefjord. Sounds good. Sandefjord.
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 The rum's not bad either.
No one slept as Sandefjord sailed easily on through the night. The long dawn and Cape St. Lucia light.
late final, three late. Late final, three late. Three late final, three late. Three late final, three late. Late final, three late, final, three late.
The word spread quickly, and local yachts sailed out to meet her.
Nice to see you! Ahoy! Give him a blast, Con.
Right in there, mate. Okay, let her go. Stand me pass it over, right? Just chuck her. What's your foot? Yeah. How do you... Get away.
Dear Barry, dear Pat, Wally, Connie, Tim and Mary. Just a thought to welcome you all back. Emerald Isle, Ken Warrensburg is available to tow you through the entrance when you need it. See you ashore, chaps.
Oranges.
Hello, Hamish! Hello there!
Okay, let him go. What the hell's Hamish?
Hello, Peter! Oh, John!
Patrick's family.
Yes, you held on to it beautifully. Hello, Jerry, man.
Good to see you.
Dick, nice to see you.
Hello, Barry. Nice to see you.
Hey, Tim.
Congratulations.
We need to have such a long time. We were looking forward to it. Marty! Oh, Roger.
Are you well?
Very well. Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you back.
Sorry, come on. What about this microphone? Is it running down?
Right.
Okay.